Strategic offenses are called for when a company spots opportunities to gain profitable market share at the expense of rivals, or when a company has no choice but to try to whittle away at a strong rival's competitive advantage. The best offenses use a company's most competitively potent resources to attack rivals in those competitive areas where they are the weakest. Generally, strategic offensives should be grounded in a company's competitive assets and strong points and should be aimed at exploiting competitors' weaknesses. The principal offensive strategy options include the following. First, offering an equally good product at a lower price. Lower prices can produce market share gains if competitors offering similarly performing products don't respond with price cuts of their own. Price-cutting offenses are best initiated by companies that have first achieved a cost advantage. Next is leapfrogging competitors by being the first to market with next-generation technology or products. Or pursuing continuous product innovation to draw sales and market share away from less innovative rivals. Ongoing introductions of new or improved products can put rivals under tremendous competitive pressure, especially when the rival's new product development capabilities are weak. Pursuing disruptive product innovations to create new markets is another strategy. While this strategy can be riskier and more costly than the strategy of continuous innovation, it can be a game changer if successful. Disruptive innovation involves perfecting new products or services that offer an altogether new or better value proposition. You could also adopt or improve on good ideas of other companies, rivals or otherwise. Using hit-and-run or guerrilla warfare tactics to grab sales or market share from complacent or distracted rivals. Options for these guerrilla offenses include occasionally lowballing on price to win a big order or steal a key account from a rival, or surprising key rivals by sporadic but intense bursts of promotional activity. Finally, launching a preemptive strike to capture a rare opportunity or secure an industry's limited resources. What makes a move preemptive is its one-of-a-kind nature. Whoever strikes first stands to acquire competitive assets that rivals can't readily match. Offensive-minded firms need to analyze which of their rivals to challenge as well as how to mount the challenge. The best targets for offensive attacks include the following. Market leaders that are vulnerable. Offensive attacks make good sense when a company that leads in terms of size and market share is not a true leader in terms of serving the market well. Signs of leader vulnerability include unhappy buyers, inferior product lines, a weak competitive strategy with regard to low-cost leadership or differentiation, a preoccupation with diversification into other industries, and mediocre or declining profitability. Or runner-up firms with weaknesses in areas where a challenger is strong. Runner-up firms are an especially attractive target when a challenger's resource strengths and competitive capabilities are well suited to exploiting their weaknesses. Another option is struggling enterprises that are on the verge of going under. Challenging a hard-pressed rival in ways that further sap its financial strength and competitive position can hasten its exit in the market. Finally, small and local regional firms with limited capabilities. Because small firms typically have limited expertise and resources, a challenger with broader capabilities is well positioned to raid their biggest and best customers. Managers need to understand when to pursue offensive or defensive strategic moves to improve a company's market position. The scope of operation refers to the range of activities an organization performs internally, the breadth of its product and service offerings, the extent of its geographic market presence, and the mix of its businesses. 4 dimensions of a firm's scope have the capacity to strengthen a company's position in a given market. First, the breadth of its product and service offerings. Second, the range of activities the firm performs internally. Third, the extent of its geographic market presence, and fourth, its mix of businesses. In this course, we discuss the horizontal and vertical scope decisions in relation to its breadth of offerings and range of internally performed activities. A company's horizontal scope, which is the range of product and service segments that it serves, can be expanded through new business development or mergers and acquisitions of other companies in the marketplace. The company's vertical scope is the extent to which it engages in the various activities that make up an industry's entire value chain system, from raw material or component production all the way to retailing and after-sales service. Expanding the company's vertical scope by means of vertical integration can also affect the strength of a company's market position. Strategic managers apply effective understanding of scope of operations in the development and execution of organizational strategy. A merger is the combining of two or more companies into a single corporate entity, with the newly created company often taking a new name. An acquisition is the combination in which one company, the acquirer, purchases and absorbs the operations of another, the acquired. The difference between a merger and an acquisition relates more to the details of ownership, management control, and financial arrangements than to strategy and competitive advantage. The resources and competitive capabilities of the newly created enterprise end up much the same whether the combination is the result of an acquisition or a merger. Merger and acquisition strategies typically set sights on achieving any of 5 objectives. Let's take a look. The first is extending the company's business into new product categories. Many times, a company has gaps in its product line that need to be filled. Acquisition can be a quicker and more potent way to broaden a company's product line than going through the exercise of introducing the company's own new product to fill the gap. The next is creating a more cost-efficient operation out of the combined companies. When a company acquires another company in the same industry, there's usually enough overlap in operations that certain inefficient parts can be closed or distribution and sales activities can be partially combined and downsized. The combined companies may also be able to reduce supply chain costs through buying in greater volume from common suppliers. Likewise, it's usually feasible to squeeze out savings in administrative activities, again by combining and downsizing such activities as finance and accounting, information technology, human resources, and so on. Or a company can expand its geographic coverage. One of the best and quickest ways to expand a company's geographic coverage is to acquire rivals with operations in desired locations. Organizations can also gain quick access to new technologies or complementary resources and capabilities. Making acquisitions to bolster a company's technological know-how or to expand its skills and capacities allows a company to bypass the time-consuming and often expensive internal effort to build desirable new resources and capabilities. The final tactic is leading the convergence of industries whose boundaries are being blurred by changing technologies and new market opportunities. Such acquisitions are the result of a company's management betting that 2 or more distinct industries are converging into one and deciding to establish a strong position in consolidating markets by bringing together the resources and products of several different companies. Combining the operations of 2 companies via merger and acquisition is an attractive strategic option for achieving operating economies, strengthening the resulting company's competencies and competitiveness, and opening avenues for a new market opportunity. A vertically integrated firm is one that performs value chain activities along more than one stage of the industry's overall value chain. It involves expanding the firm's range of value chain activities backwards into sources of supply or forward toward end users. Thus, if a manufacturer invests in facilities to produce certain component parts that it formerly purchased from outside suppliers, it's engaging in vertical integration. The 2 best reasons for investing company resources in vertical integration are to strengthen a firm's competitive position or to boost its profitability. Vertical integration has no real payoff unless it produces sufficient cost savings to justify the extra investment, adds materially to a company's technological and competitive strength, and helps differentiate product offering. Vertical integration has some substantial drawbacks beyond the potential for channel conflict. The most serious drawbacks of vertical integration include: vertical integration increases the firm's capital investment in the industry. Vertically integrated companies are often slow to embrace technological advances or more efficient production methods when they're saddled with older technology or facilities. Vertical integration poses all kinds of capacity matching problems. And finally, integration forward or backward often requires the development of new skills and business capabilities. A vertical integration strategy has appeal only if it sufficiently strengthens a firm's competitive position or boosts its profitability. Outsourcing involves contracting out certain value chain activities to outside specialists and strategic allies. Outsourcing makes strategic sense whenever the following are true. An activity can be performed better or more cheaply by outside specialists. A company should generally not perform any value chain activity internally that can be performed more efficiently or effectively by outsiders. The chief exception is when a particular activity is strategically critical or internal control over that activity is deemed essential. Next is when the activity is not crucial to the firm's ability to achieve sustainable competitive advantage and won't hollow out its capabilities, core competencies, or technical know-how. Outsourcing of support activities such as maintenance services, data processing and data storage, fringe benefit management, and website operations have become common. Or when outsourcing improves organizational flexibility and speeds time to market. Outsourcing gives a company the flexibility to switch suppliers in the event that the present supplier falls behind competing suppliers. Also, to the extent that its suppliers can speedily get next-generation parts and components into production, a company can get its own next-generation product offerings into the marketplace quicker. Or when outsourcing reduces company risk exposure to changing technology or buyer preferences. When a company outsources certain parts, components, and services, its suppliers must bear the burden of incorporating state-of-the-art technology and/or undertaking redesigns and upgrades to accommodate a company's plans to introduce next-generation products. Finally, when outsourcing allows a company to concentrate on its core business, leverage its key resources and core competencies, and even do better at what it already does best. A company is better able to build and develop its own competitively valuable competencies and capabilities when it concentrates its full resources and energies on performing those activities. A company should guard against outsourcing activities that hollow out the resources and capabilities that it needs to master its own destiny. A strategic alliance is a formal agreement between two or more companies to work cooperatively toward some common objective. Collaborative relationships between partners may entail a contractual agreement, but they commonly stop short of formal ownership ties between the partners. Collaborative agreements involving shared ownership are called joint ventures. A joint venture is a partnership involving the establishment of an independent corporate entity that's jointly owned and controlled by two or more companies. Since joint ventures involve setting up a mutually owned business, they tend to be more durable, but are also riskier than other arrangements. A surprisingly large number of alliances never live up to expectations, with estimates that as many as 60 or 70% of alliances fail each year. The high divorce rate among strategic alliances has several causes, the most common of which are diverging objectives and priorities, an inability to work together, changing conditions that make the purpose of the alliance obsolete, the emergence of more attractive technological paths, or market rivalry between one or more of the allies. Experience indicates that alliances stand a reasonable chance of helping a company reduce competitive disadvantage, but very rarely have they proved a strategic option for gaining a durable competitive edge over rivals.